After the age of 60, the body rarely gives dramatic warnings. It doesn't demand attention. It speaks quietly. Changes show up in small ways. Less stamina, more stiffness, longer recovery after ordinary days. Many people accept this as normal aging. They assume it's simply how life is now. But that assumption can be risky. Some daily habits don't just make aging less comfortable. Over time, they can weaken the body. They can strain the mind. They can reduce resilience. Not overnight. Not suddenly. But slowly. These habits feel familiar. They feel harmless. Almost everyone around you has them. And that's what makes them easy to ignore. You may believe you're managing well. You're careful. You rest when you need to. You avoid obvious dangers. Yet certain routines can quietly work against strength, clarity, and independence, especially when they continue year after year. In this video, we'll explore 5 common habits that tend to be harmful after 60. Harmful not because they're extreme, but because they quietly limit what your body and mind can handle. Some of these habits are often mistaken for just getting older. Others are rarely talked about at all. And one of them surprises almost everyone. This isn't about fear. It's about noticing what's easy to miss. Because once you see these patterns, you still have options. Small adjustments. Gentle changes. So stay with me until the end. What you learn today may help you avoid damage that's quiet now, but harder to undo later. And let's begin with the first habit. It's one almost everyone falls into after retirement. It feels restful. It feels deserved. But over time, it may quietly take more from your body than you realize. Habit number 1. Prolonged sitting and physical inactivity. For many people over 60, retirement feels like a well-earned pause. A time to rest. A time to slow down. Long mornings in a comfortable chair. Afternoons with television, reading, or long conversations. Evenings that pass quietly. All of this feels peaceful. And in small amounts it can be. But when sitting becomes the default position for most of the day, something subtle begins to change. Spending long hours without movement doesn't cause immediate pain. It doesn't feel dangerous. That's why it's so easy to overlook. Over time, however, prolonged sitting places real strain on the body. Muscles are used less. Circulation slows. Joints stiffen more quickly. When movement becomes rare, the body slowly adapts to doing less. And that adaptation comes at a cost. Many people are surprised to learn that inactivity affects more than strength. It also affects how clearly the mind works. When you sit for long periods, blood tends to pool in the lower body. That means less steady flow upward, less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching the brain. At first, this may show up as foggy thinking, slower recall, a feeling that concentration takes more effort than it used to. Because these changes happen gradually, most people don't connect them to sitting. They assume it's simply age catching up. Take a moment to picture a typical day. How many hours are spent seated? How often do you stand, stretch, or walk without a specific reason? For many older adults, movement becomes limited to meals and small chores. It feels reasonable, especially when aches or stiffness are already present. But reduced movement can quietly weaken bones. It can drain daily energy. And over time, even simple tasks may start to feel heavier than they should. Let me share a real-life example. Robert is 72. He has always loved books, especially long detective novels. After retiring, his days settled into a routine of reading in his favorite armchair. At first, it felt perfect, calm, comfortable. But after a couple of years, Robert noticed small changes. His legs felt less steady. Short walks left him unusually tired. Getting up from a chair took more effort than before. Nothing felt alarming, just different. When Robert finally paid attention, he realized how little he was moving. He began standing up every hour, taking short walks outside, doing light gardening a few times a week. The changes were gradual, but meaningful. His energy improved. His mood lifted. Daily life felt easier again. This isn't about intense exercise. It's about breaking long stretches of stillness, walking to the mailbox, stretching in the morning, moving gently while waiting for the kettle to boil. These small movements keep blood flowing. They remind muscles and joints that they're still needed. If maintaining independence matters to you, this habit is worth noticing early. Sitting less doesn't mean doing more. It means moving a little more often. And once this habit is addressed, the next one becomes easier to recognize. Because the second habit doesn't involve the body at all. It starts in the mind. And it quietly shapes how the rest of life feels. Habit number 2. Chronic negativity and emotional isolation. As people move through their 60s and 70s, many focus carefully on physical health. They think about food. They think about movement. They think about rest. What often gets overlooked is the quiet influence of thoughts and emotions. Negative thinking doesn't usually feel dangerous. It feels familiar. Sometimes it even feels realistic. But when negativity becomes a daily habit, and emotional distance slowly grows, the impact can be deeper than most people expect. You don't have to feel lonely in the obvious sense. You may still see people. You may still talk to family. Yet carrying constant worry, resentment, or hopelessness keeps the body under steady strain. The mind rarely rests. The nervous system stays alert. Over time, this state of emotional tension affects more than mood. It drains energy. It weakens resilience. It makes everyday challenges feel heavier. When the mind remains stuck in negative patterns, the body follows. Stress signals linger. Recovery becomes slower. What makes this habit especially harmful is how quietly it settles in. Most people don't notice it forming. They simply adapt to feeling a little more closed off, a little more guarded, a little less hopeful. Let me share a real-life example. Helen is 68. After losing her husband, she gradually withdrew from friends and family. Not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. At first, the solitude felt safe. There were fewer questions, fewer explanations. But as weeks turned into months, Helen's world became smaller. Her sleep was restless. Activities she once enjoyed felt distant. Days blended together. Her daughter eventually encouraged her to attend a small community group for widows. Helen hesitated. She didn't feel ready. But she agreed to try. Just once. That single step led to another. A painting class. A regular coffee after meetings. Slowly, something shifted. Helen laughed again. Her energy returned. Life felt more open. The change didn't come from staying busy. It came from reconnecting. From allowing herself to be seen and supported. Not all negativity begins with loss. Sometimes it grows from long-standing habits. Constantly criticizing the news. Focusing on aches instead of abilities. Measuring life by what's been lost rather than what remains. Over time, these patterns narrow perspective. They reduce curiosity. They quietly limit how much joy feels possible. And here's where many people get stuck. Less connection leads to lower energy. Lower energy makes reaching out feel harder. The cycle feeds itself. If any of this feels familiar, pause for a moment. Notice without judging. Small steps matter here. A short phone call. A regular walk with someone nearby. A few quiet minutes each day to name something you're grateful for. These aren't dramatic changes, but they interrupt the pattern. If you're finding this helpful, let me know by commenting number 2 below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you're welcome to do so. It helps us continue creating calm, thoughtful content for healthy aging. Emotional health deserves as much attention as physical health, especially after 60. Because connection doesn't just add comfort. It supports clarity. It supports strength. It supports the ability to enjoy daily life. And once emotional habits begin to shift, another everyday pattern often comes into focus. One that seems harmless. One that happens almost automatically. And one that often starts between meals. Habit number 3. Mindless snacking on processed foods. This habit rarely feels important. It doesn't come with warning signs. And it doesn't happen at the dinner table. It happens quietly. Between meals. Often without much thought. A handful of crackers while watching television. A sweet biscuit with afternoon tea. Something packaged and easy when boredom appears. For many people over 60, these small snacks feel harmless. They're familiar. They're comforting. They feel like a simple pleasure. But when mindless snacking becomes part of the daily rhythm, especially with processed foods, the effects begin to add up. Processed snacks are designed for convenience. They're quick. They're easy to eat. And they're easy to keep reaching for. Most contain added sugars, refined carbohydrates, unhealthy fats, and extra salt. Each snack may seem small, but together, they place steady pressure on the body. As the body ages, it becomes less flexible in handling constant spikes and drops. Energy rises quickly, then falls just as fast. Over time, this pattern can leave you feeling flat, tired earlier in the day, less steady in mood, less clear in thought. What many people don't realize is how closely food habits are linked to mental sharpness. When blood sugar swings become frequent, the brain feels the strain. Concentration can fade sooner. Memory feels slower. Simple decisions require more effort. Because this habit is tied to comfort, it often goes unquestioned. It feels deserved. Especially during quiet afternoons or long evenings. Let me share a real-life example. Thomas is 74. He prided himself on eating well at mealtimes. Home-cooked dinners. Plenty of vegetables. But throughout the day, he grazed without noticing. Cheese crackers from the pantry. Store-bought pastries with tea. Small bites that didn't feel like much. At first, Thomas didn't connect these snacks to how he felt. Meals were healthy, after all. Gradually, subtle changes appeared. Afternoons felt heavier. Energy dipped earlier than before. His thinking felt less sharp by evening. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to feel slightly off. When Thomas paused and paid attention, he noticed how often he was eating without hunger. Out of habit. Out of routine. Out of something to do. He didn't overhaul his diet. He made small adjustments. Fresh fruit instead of biscuits. Nuts instead of crackers. Plain yogurt instead of packaged desserts. The changes weren't instant, but they were steady. His energy became more even. Cravings softened. Daily life felt easier to manage. The challenge with mindless snacking isn't discipline. It's awareness. Eating while distracted. Eating because food is nearby. Eating to fill time rather than hunger. These habits quietly shape how the body feels year after year, especially as sensitivity increases with age. Keeping simple, whole foods within reach can help interrupt the pattern. Cut fruit. Vegetables. Foods that satisfy without overstimulating appetite. This isn't about restriction. It's about noticing what happens between meals. Because small choices, repeated often, influence energy, mood, and clarity more than most people expect. And once eating patterns begin to settle, another daily routine often comes into focus. One that happens every night. One that many people dismiss as less important with age. But it plays a powerful role in how the body restores itself. Habit number 4. Irregular sleep patterns and staying up late. This habit is often misunderstood. Many people believe sleep matters less as they age. Others assume poor sleep is simply part of getting older. But irregular sleep patterns, especially staying up late night after night, can quietly cause real harm. Sleep is not only about rest. It is about rhythm. And rhythm becomes more important with age, not less. When bedtimes change from one night to the next, the body struggles to keep time. The internal clock loses its consistency. Signals that guide energy, appetite, focus, and mood begin to drift. At first, the changes are subtle. Mornings feel heavier. Thinking feels slower. Energy fades earlier than expected. Because these shifts happen gradually, many people adjust without noticing. They drink more coffee. They push through fatigue. They tell themselves it's normal. But over months and years, irregular sleep places steady strain on the body. The ability to recover weakens. Mental sharpness becomes less reliable. Everyday stress feels harder to manage. Staying up late also increases exposure to artificial light. Television screens, phones, tablets. This light delays the body's natural signal to rest. The message to slow down arrives later. Falling asleep takes more effort. When deep, restorative sleep is shortened, the body misses important repair time. Muscles recover less fully. Memories are not organized as clearly. Balance and coordination become less steady. Let me share a real-life example. Linda is 66. She always thought of herself as a night owl. Late evenings felt peaceful, quiet, free from interruption. At first, staying up late felt like a gift. Time to read. Time to watch favorite programs. Time just for herself. But after a few years, Linda noticed small changes. Waking up felt more difficult. She needed extra coffee to feel alert. Her memory felt less reliable during the day. Nothing felt serious, just different. Eventually, Linda decided to experiment. She set a consistent bedtime. She dimmed the lights in the evening. She avoided screens during the final hour before sleep. At first, the change felt uncomfortable. She resisted it. Her body wasn't used to winding down earlier. But after a few weeks, something shifted. She fell asleep more easily. She woke feeling steadier. Her days felt calmer and more focused. The improvement didn't come from sleeping longer. It came from sleeping more consistently. Sleep is when the body resets itself. It restores energy. It clears mental noise. It prepares you for the next day. For most older adults, 7 to 8 hours is enough. What matters more is regular timing. The same bedtime. The same waking rhythm. Skipping this habit doesn't cause immediate problems. That's why it's easy to ignore. But over time, poor sleep quietly affects everything else. Movement feels heavier. Mood becomes less stable. Small stresses feel larger than they should. If you want daily life to feel more manageable, sleep deserves attention. Not perfection. Just consistency. A calming routine. A dark, quiet room. Gentle signals that tell the body it's time to rest. If this part of the video feels familiar, let me know by commenting number 4 below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you're welcome to do so. Your support helps us continue sharing calm, practical guidance for healthy aging. And now, Let's move to the final habit. This one often surprises people the most, because it's not about daily routines at home. It's about what happens when you feel fine and assume nothing needs attention. Habit number 5. Neglecting preventive health checkups. This habit surprises many people because it doesn't look like a habit at all. There's no daily routine, no obvious behavior, nothing you actively do. Instead, it's something quietly skipped. For people in their 60s and 70s, neglecting regular preventive checkups is one of the most damaging habits of all. Not because it causes immediate problems, but because it allows small issues to grow unnoticed. Many people believe that if they feel fine, everything must be fine. They trust their instincts. They listen to their body. And that instinct often comes from a good place. But the challenge is this. Not all changes announce themselves clearly. Some develop slowly, silently. Preventive checkups exist for that exact reason. They are not about searching for problems. They are about noticing changes early, when responses are simpler and recovery is easier. As people age, it's common to put these visits off. Appointments feel inconvenient. Medical settings feel uncomfortable. Life feels busy enough already. Some people don't want to worry about things that might never happen. Others feel they already know their body well. But over time, these quiet decisions add up. Certain changes can develop without obvious symptoms. Blood pressure, vision, hearing, memory, mood. Because nothing feels urgent, it's easy to delay. A reminder letter gets set aside. A test gets postponed until next year. Let me share a real-life example. David is 70. He's always been active, rarely sick, proud of his independence. He believed medical visits were only necessary when something felt wrong. So year after year, he skipped routine checkups. Eventually, at his wife's encouragement, David agreed to go, just to be safe. The visit felt ordinary. No drama, no alarm. But it revealed changes he hadn't noticed. Things that hadn't caused discomfort yet. Things that were still manageable. With small adjustments and guidance, David avoided far more serious complications later on. Looking back, he admitted that the visit likely protected years of quality life. Preventive care isn't only about physical measurements. It also includes attention to emotional and mental well-being. Changes in mood, shifts in memory, loss of motivation. These are often overlooked. Not because they don't matter, but because they're easy to dismiss as just aging. Regular check-ins provide perspective. They offer a broader view of how everything is working together. Think of preventive care as maintenance, not repair. Like checking a car before a long journey. Not because something is broken, but because you want the journey to be smoother. Keeping a simple calendar of appointments helps. Talking openly about small changes you notice helps. Bringing a trusted person along, if needed, helps. These steps don't reduce independence. They support it. Preventive checkups are not a burden. They are a gift to your future self. And to the people who care about you. As we come to the end of today's video, take a moment to reflect. Which of these habits felt familiar? Which one surprised you most? None of these habits develop overnight. And none of them require dramatic change. Healthy aging is built through small choices. Repeated gently. Over time. Moving a little more. Staying connected. Eating with awareness. Sleeping consistently. And paying attention before problems feel urgent. These choices protect more than years. They protect independence, clarity, and the ability to enjoy everyday life. No matter your age, it's never too late to begin. One small change this week is enough. A short walk, a phone call, an earlier bedtime, or booking a routine checkup you've been putting off. Each step builds confidence. Each step supports the life you want to keep living. If this video gave you something to think about, we'd love to hear from you. Share one thing you noticed about your own habits in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you're welcome to do so. It helps us continue creating calm, thoughtful content for healthy aging. Thank you for spending this time with us. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.